Maestro Friedrich Weber had conducted the Vienna Philharmonic for 28 years, trained at the prestigious Vienna Conservatory, and was considered one of Europe's finest interpreters of classical repertoire. When he was invited to judge the Asian Youth Orchestra Competition in Singapore, he reviewed the participating ensembles with the critical ear that had made him legendary. He paused when he saw the Philippine Youth Orchestra listed, conducted by a young Filipina named Maria Reyes. Friedrich had never heard of her, or the ensemble. During the technical rehearsal, Friedrich stood in the auditorium as the Philippine Orchestra took the stage. He noticed immediately their instruments weren't uniformly high-quality European makes. Some violins looked repaired multiple times. The brass section had instruments of varying ages and conditions. The orchestra members themselves looked nervous, several wearing formal attire that seemed borrowed or ill-fitting. Friedrich leaned to his fellow judge, a Japanese conductor. "This ensemble doesn't look world-class. The instruments, the presentation, this is clearly a developing country orchestra. I expect technically adequate, but not competition-level performance." Maria, on the podium, saw Friedrich's dismissive expression. She'd seen it before from European conductors who assumed Filipino musicians were amateur enthusiasts, not serious artists. She raised her baton for the rehearsal excerpt, Tchaikovsky Symphony No. 5, fourth movement, a challenging piece requiring precision, passion, and perfect ensemble coordination. The orchestra began. Friedrich listened with his arms crossed, waiting to confirm his assumptions. The opening was technically solid, but unremarkable. The tempo was correct, the notes accurate, the dynamics appropriate. Exactly what he'd expected: competent, but uninspired, lacking the refinement of European training. But then something shifted. As the movement developed, Friedrich began hearing something unexpected. The Filipino musicians weren't just playing notes correctly. They were playing with an emotional intensity that European orchestras often lacked. The string section attacked phrases with passionate urgency. The brass played heroic themes with genuine triumphant feeling rather than technical perfection. There were tiny imperfections ensemble. Coordination wasn't flawless. Intonation wavered occasionally, but there was something else. Heart, soul, music that felt lived rather than just executed. Friedrich found himself leaning forward. The climax of the movement approached the part where many orchestras simply played loud and fast, technically impressive but emotionally hollow. The Philippine Orchestra attacked it with raw passion, the musicians physically engaged, swaying with the music, breathing together, playing like their lives depended on it. When they finished the rehearsal excerpt, Friedrich sat back, confused. That wasn't what he'd expected at all. During the break, Friedrich approached Maria. "Maestra Reyes, your orchestra plays with remarkable passion, but the technical precision needs work. The ensemble coordination, the intonation in the winds, the balance between sections, these are fundamental issues that prevent world-class performance. Passion is valuable, but without technical perfection, it's just enthusiasm." Maria nodded respectfully. "Maestro Weber, my musicians come from difficult backgrounds. Many cannot afford proper instruments. We have limited rehearsal time because they work multiple jobs to support families. We don't have resources for private teachers or summer intensives like European orchestras. But we have something else. We play music because we love it desperately, because it's our escape from poverty, because for 2 hours in rehearsal we can create beauty in lives that are often very hard. Maybe that's not world-class by Vienna standards, but it's what we have." Friedrich softened slightly. "I understand the challenges, but in competition, judges evaluate technical execution. Passion doesn't overcome missed notes." The competition began the next day. Orchestra after orchestra performed: Japanese youth ensembles with stunning technical precision, Korean groups with perfect intonation, a Singaporean orchestra with flawless ensemble coordination. All were technically superior to the Philippine Orchestra. Friedrich scored them highly, noting their excellent training and execution. Then the Philippine Youth Orchestra took the stage for their full competition performance. They were performing Dvořák's Symphony No. 9, from the New World, a piece about longing for home, about struggle and hope, about finding beauty in hardship. Maria raised her baton. The orchestra began, and something magical happened. The Filipino musicians weren't just playing Dvořák's notes. They were playing their own story, the story of musicians from a poor country, from difficult lives, pouring everything they had into music, because music was hope, was dignity, was proof that poverty didn't define their worth. The famous Going Home theme in the second movement wasn't just beautifully played, it was heartbreaking. Several musicians had tears streaming down their faces while playing. The audience, which had been politely attentive for other performances, was completely silent, transfixed. Friedrich felt something he rarely experienced: genuine emotional connection to a performance. Yes, there were technical imperfections. Yes, the ensemble coordination wasn't as tight as the Japanese orchestra. Yes, individual players made small mistakes. But the music was alive in a way that technically perfect performances hadn't been. The finale movement built to its triumphant conclusion. The Philippine Orchestra played it not as a showpiece of technical virtuosity, but as a statement of defiant joy. We exist. We matter. We create beauty despite everything against us. When the final chord rang out, the silence lasted a full 3 seconds. Then the audience exploded in applause. People were standing, some crying, the ovation lasting minutes. In the judges' deliberation room, the debate was intense. The Japanese conductor argued for the technically superior Japanese ensemble. They had perfect intonation, flawless ensemble, no errors. That's the standard. Another judge agreed. The Korean orchestra showed exceptional precision. Technical execution must be the primary criterion. Friedrich found himself in an unfamiliar position, arguing against technical perfection as the only standard. Yes, those orchestras were technically superior, but the Philippine Orchestra did something none of the others achieved. They made us feel the music. They reminded us why music exists, not to demonstrate technical skill, but to communicate human experience, emotion, truth. The deliberation continued for over an hour. Finally, they voted. The result shocked everyone. First place Philippine Youth Orchestra. Second place Japanese Youth Symphony. Third place Korean Youth Philharmonic. When the results were announced, Maria stood on stage in disbelief, her orchestra members crying and embracing. Friedrich approached her after the ceremony. "Maestro Reyes, I owe you an apology. I looked at your orchestra and saw old instruments, an imperfect technique, and assumed you weren't world-class. I was measuring you against the wrong standard. Technical perfection is one definition of excellence, but musical truth, emotional honesty, the ability to make an audience feel deeply, that's another definition. Your orchestra achieved something the technically superior ensembles didn't. You reminded us what music is actually for." Maria's voice trembled. "Maestro Weber, my musicians will go back to Manila, to poverty, 2 difficult lives, 2 struggling. But tonight, the world told them they matter, that their music matters. That's worth more than any technical perfection." The story of the Philippine Orchestra's victory spread through classical music circles. Some European musicians complained that technical standards were being lowered, but others recognized something important, that classical music had become so focused on technical perfection that it had lost emotional connection, that orchestras from developing countries brought passion and authenticity that wealthy orchestras had forgotten. Friedrich returned to Vienna, changed in his next Vienna Philharmonic rehearsal. He stopped the orchestra during a Brahms symphony. That was technically perfect. He told the musicians, every note correct, every dynamic precise, every ensemble entrance exact, and it was emotionally dead. I recently heard an orchestra from the Philippines with worse instruments, less training, more technical errors, and they made me cry because they played like music mattered more than anything in the world. We become so obsessed with perfection that we've forgotten to feel. Play it again. This time, forget perfection. Remember why you became musicians. 3 months later, Friedrich invited Maria and the Philippine Youth Orchestra to perform with the Vienna Philharmonic in a special concert, celebrating emotional excellence in classical music. The Filipino musicians stood on the stage of the Musikverein, one of the world's most prestigious concert halls, playing alongside Vienna's finest. Before the performance, Friedrich addressed the audience. "Tonight, we celebrate 2 approaches to musical excellence. The Vienna Philharmonic represents the highest technical standards developed over centuries. The Philippine Youth Orchestra represents passion, authenticity, and emotional truth developed through hardship and love of music. Both are world-class. Both are necessary. And together, they remind us that music at its best combines precision with soul." The performance was broadcast worldwide. Reviews called it revolutionary, the meeting of European technical mastery and Filipino emotional power, creating something neither could achieve alone. Young musicians in the Philippines who'd been told they'd never be world-class because they couldn't afford expensive instruments or elite training, saw Maria's orchestra in Vienna and believed differently. Classical music conservatories in Europe began recruiting students from Southeast Asia, recognizing that passion and authenticity were as valuable as technical training. 5 years later, Friedrich retired from the Vienna Philharmonic. His farewell concert featured a surprise guest Maria and select members of her Philippine Orchestra, now called the Manila Symphony Orchestra, performing with Vienna one final time. Friedrich's speech that night became famous in classical music circles. I spent 28 years pursuing technical perfection. Then I heard an orchestra from one of the world's poorest countries play with their hearts wide open, and I realized I had forgotten what music was actually for. They weren't world-class by my standards. My standards were wrong, he continued. The Philippine musicians taught me that world-class doesn't mean most expensive instruments or most prestigious training. It means music that connects human beings to human experience. It means players who make you feel what they're feeling. It means remembering that before music was a profession, it was how people expressed joy, grief, hope, love, everything that makes us human. Vienna gave me technical mastery. Manila gave me back my soul as a musician. Today, Maria conducts orchestras worldwide, and the Manila Symphony Orchestra regularly performs internationally. Friedrich established a foundation providing instruments and training to youth orchestras in developing countries. And in the Vienna Philharmonic's archive room, there's a recording of that first performance, the Philippine Youth Orchestra at the Asian Competition, playing with imperfect technique and perfect heart. The recording is played for new Vienna Philharmonic members during orientation with a note from Friedrich. Listen to this. They're not as good as you, technically. They'll make you feel more than you've felt in years. That's the reminder. Technical perfection without emotional truth is just expensive noise. The Filipino orchestra I called not world-class taught me that being world-class means making people remember why music exists at all.